I live right here at this place. We're in south of Casper, about 30 miles, and they call it Bates Hole. We got a pretty near 6,000 acres here. It's not a big ranch, but it's, you know, it's all in one chunk. You don't have to cross other people to get to your summer range and stuff. It's just a nice ranch. My great-grandfather lived in Colorado, and they got flooded out, and he just loaded up what they had left in a wagon, him and his wife and their kids, and this is where he ended up.
The geography of the area and following the Platte River meant that most of the trails heading west for the immigrants crossed in this part of Wyoming. So we had the Oregon Trail, the Mormon Pioneer Trail, the Pony Express Trail, and the California Trail, all passing through this point. It was pretty rugged country, a lot of sand, a lot of river crossings as they followed the trail. The area here was rocky, rough, and required a lot of diligence to get through. They had to keep their pace to be able to get on from here to Independence Rock in the general area. So by midsummer, they were sure that they could get to the mountains onto the west and across those mountains on their travels.
You know, it's just amazing at how tough and durable those people were. And the homesteads are what, you know, I think what really settled this country. You know, it was a great deal, you know, at that time.
The Homestead Act was a very important part of the migration that we talk about here. We're not a museum, we're an interpretive center, so you can touch things here, you can get involved, you can take wagon rides, you can learn what it was like to be a pioneer and travel in those days.
No matter what happens, just sit still.
The trails then became the highway to travel to the west, especially when Oregon opened up and the Homestead Act came into being, and people had the legal opportunities to achieve these dreams, to be able to achieve their own land, their own farms, their own ranches. And we tell that story here by talking about the efforts and the journeys that people made as they passed this point and headed on to the west to the different areas that were being settled.
3 creeks come here together, and I think those old timers, you know, water was really important to them. You know, he came here in 1886, homesteaded here. We've been here ever since. I love it here. I wouldn't live anyplace else. You know. If I had a chance to move, I wouldn't. So, yeah, it's just a fun place to live and raise your family, and you got to like this lifestyle, or because you know you don't get rich at it. Nobody gets rich off ranching, but it's just something you got to like to do and enjoy it, or you wouldn't stay with it. The old house there, my great-granddad, he built that in 1892. They said it sat here for several years boarded up because they couldn't get windows for it. The old glass in there, it's still wavy, you know, like they came in the old days. They tell me that's the way it was. And of course, it had been remodeled a little bit over the years, you know, but 99% of it's original. You know, we put a fireplace in it when we moved up here in '77, and this front porch and stuff's been added on, but the old house is just pretty original inside. I wouldn't trade it for a mansion, this old house, you know, no, I wouldn't trade it for a new house. I guess I'm old too, so we get along pretty good, me and that old cabin. You know, if we wanted to sell this ranch, you know, you might say, I'll price it at $10 million just for a joke. Well, somebody might drive in and write you a check, and then down the road you go, you know. So if you don't want to sell one, you better not price it, because they don't make any more land, and it's pretty valuable. You really can't put a price on it.
We need to make sure that there's an understanding of this resource and make sure that we consider the history, consider the land as we make these decisions for development for the future. If we don't, these resources will be lost. That would be a disservice to the pioneers that worked and toiled so hard to come through this area as they headed west for a new life and new adventures.
It's going to be a thing of the past one of these days. You know, the small ranches, just someday there won't be any. You know, so it's, you know, it's a way of life, and the kind of people that are still here and still fighting it, you know, are pretty unique people. You know, they're not rich. We're never going to be rich, but that's immaterial. You can't take it with you. You know.